Hey guys, it's your girl Londyn and welcome to Vlogmas. So on today's video, we are going to be doing a full face of my 2020 ride or die products. Now, most of these products have been ride or die for longer than 2020, but we do have a few additions that happened in 2020. So if you've not already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be notified of all my new videos. And if you haven't already, which I don't know why you would not have, head on over to Instagram, follow me there so you can see what I do when I'm not here with you on the YouTubes. So if you guys want to see what my ride or die products are, and what they look like applied, then go ahead and keep watching because we're going to get right into it. Okay guys, let me go ahead and roll up my little sleeveys first. First off, isn't this bonnet cute? I got this from Amazon and I like it because it's a satin bonnet. It has this nice kind of thick band to it so it keeps it on my head and it's super comfortable and adorable to wear. So the first thing that I like to do with my face is preparation. So clearly I've already done my skincare. But a piece of that I like to do here at my vanity is I like to do some under eye care. So I like to use some under eye patches. So the ones that I like are the Grace and Stella patches. I got my first box of these from a BoxyCharm a couple months ago and I just really like them. These had 12 pairs in them and they were, for me, fairly affordable. Now you do have to leave them on, I think it's for 10 to 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. So I like to apply these, and typically when I'm applying these, I'm watching a YouTube video, I'm listening to a little music, I'm picking out what palettes I'm going to use for the day, kind of things like that, depending upon where I'm going and what I'm doing. So I will take these out of the box, we will apply them, and then we will come back after the 15 minutes so you guys can kind of see the look. So they come like this in this nice little packet. It has kind of the juice, as I like to say in them. These are anti-wrinkle and energizing eye masks. So be very careful when you do open them because the tray that they slide out on clearly has the liquid and you definitely don't want to get that all over. So make sure you clearly open it all first and then slide them out. Oh, one of mine fell off because I opened it up upside down. So we're gonna have to go in here and get her out. Okay, so there's that, and then I like to just take it, let me get to my little mirror, take it and apply just like this. Sometimes you'll have to adjust and you'll be able to tell when you need to adjust based off of when you put it on, what it feels like when you're kind of looking around and looking down. So I try to get as close as possible to the under eye, like my line right there, but I don't want to not be able to see. So this is them applied. You give it 15 to 20 minutes, do what you have to do, get yourself some coffee, some tea, get yourself a snack, listen to some music, some YouTube, and then go ahead and come back and then you can see what they do. So we will leave these on for 15 minutes. I will be back and we will get started in the next set of our process. So be right back. All right, so our 15 minutes are up, so let's go ahead and peel these off. They don't leave a ton of liquid on, but anything that they do have, I just like to go ahead and tap any excess in. So now let's go ahead and get to moisturizer. So my ride or die moisturizer, probably for the last 2 years, is the Drunk Elephant Marula Oil. Now I've had the bigger one of these and I've had this size. This is the 0.5 fluid ounces. This is a little pricey, I'm not gonna lie, but I really like it. I like that it's convenient. It has a little dropper, so you just use the dropper to suck up what you need, and I usually do 1, 2, 3. Ooh, we are running low. 3. Put it in my hands. You don't need a ton, and I just kind of pat, and then once I pat, I kind of will blend in. And I am a combination oily girl. I can tend to lean a bit oily and I can tend to lean a bit dry. It really just depends. But this does not make me more oily, which I know sounds very weird. But honestly, since I started using the Marula oil, probably I would say about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, it actually has helped my skin stop overproducing so much oil to the point that over the summer, half the time I wasn't even powdering my face because I just wasn't having the same type of oil production. So I really kind of, I don't know if it's environmental, if it's just kind of biological in my chemistry, but I really do attribute a lot of that to the Marula oil, because before that, I would never put oil on my face because I figured I'm an oily gal. There's no way I'm adding oil to oil, but in fact, adding some nice oil to my face stopped that overproduction of oil in my face. So again, this to me, ride or die, always need to have it. I think that it is such a fantastic oil for my face. And as you can see, it looks hydrated, but it is not greasy at all. Like, not in one single sense of the word is it greasy. So let's go ahead and get to our next step. And our next step, of course, is going to be more under eye care. So guys, the next step in my process is doing some under eye care. Now, this is a new addition in 2020. This is the Symbiosis HA2 plus Pulse, so hyaluronic acid plus Polion tightening and resplendent eye mask. So again, words, what are they? Who knows? I got this in a BoxyCharm. I was kind of a little skeptic of it because I know a lot of people say you don't need under eye cream. I do. I use a retinol under eye cream in the evenings, and I really like to use some during the day. This was supposed to be very good. It had great reviews, but it was very expensive if you bought it off-brand. I think it was like $89 on its own. So I was happy to get it in my BoxyCharm box, but at the same time, I didn't quite know what to expect from it because I was kind of like, I don't really know about it. But I actually have been using it, and I have bought 3 backups of it. And I really do like what I see with it. I have seen some nice hydration come to my under eyes, and I personally feel like I have seen fewer lines, and that may be from the hydration, but I feel like it has helped definitely with some darkness, some kind of plumpness looking. So I feel like it is doing a good job. Like I said, some people think that you don't need under eye cream, and that's fine. You do you. But I personally do like it, do enjoy it, and just a dab will do you. And I love the way that it looks. So this is my ride or die eye cream. So let's go ahead and let's get into the next step. The next step, guys, is lips. So I start with nothing on my lips, but I can feel that they're getting dry, and I don't like that feeling as I'm doing my makeup. So what I use is the Colourpop Lippy Balm. I really like this one. This is from the Coconut Collection. I think I got this with the Going Coconuts palette. It's called Coco Loco, and it kind of is like a Carmax in a tube. It's kind of thick when it squeezes out. I just like to use the applicator and kind of just hydrate my lips. So I will go back and do this again here in a second, but I like to hydrate before I scrub because I feel like scrubbing on my dry lips is a little too harsh, even though I know it seems kind of like, well, that's the point of a scrub. But I like to hydrate, then scrub, and then rehydrate again. So I start with my initial hydration, and then I go ahead and I move on to my next step, which of course is going to be primer. So guys, the primer that I choose to use is the Colourpop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Primer. So I've used quite a bit of it, and I got this when their Hyaluronic Acid foundation came out. And I like it because you only have to use a little dab right there. It is kind of like this tinted peach color. It doesn't have a smell. It kind of smells like nothingness, but I like to kind of just put some on my face like that and then lightly spread it around. I feel like I don't need a ton because we have added our nice moisturizer from the Marula oil. And then this is just like a nice moisturizing primer. You can tell when it's starting to set in because it gets a little tuggy as it's drying. But like I said, all you need is that little bit. And then kind of press any extra that I have in. And it goes right into the face. And I can feel like I can see it, but it doesn't feel greasy. It doesn't feel like my face is overly hydrated. It actually starts to feel very almost kind of like silky smooth in a way. So I really, really like this primer. Now another primer though that I like, because that's a new one for 2020. Previous to that one, my ride or die was the YSL Touche Éclat Blur Primer. And I really, really like this one. I had a ton of little ones because I ran out of my big one. But I do have another big one coming in. So these are my two kind of ride or die primers. The Touche Éclat has been my ride or die for a couple of years. And then kind of the Colourpop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Primer is a new addition to the crew. I do have a lot of primers in my collection, so I try to try out as many as possible, but those are the ones that I come back to, especially the YSL and recently the Colourpop. I will try other ones. Like I really liked the Becca Skin Love Blur Primer, and I still do enjoy it, but it is a little thick sometimes, and I tell, depending upon what kind of foundation I use, it can create a bit of a mess, so you do have to be kind of light-handed with this one. So I do use this one occasionally, but my ride or dies are definitely the new Colourpop one and the YSL Touche Éclat Blur Primer. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and let's get into our next step, which is back to lips. So guys, now that we kind of have that kind of balm on, what I do is I take the Colourpop Lippy Scrub, and this is in Bellini. This is what it looks like, and I really like this. I don't take off my initial moisturizer. I just put my fingers right here into the tube. You only need a little, and like this will last you so long. And then I do this. Now this Lippy Scrub has a larger oil base than other Lippy Scrubs I've used. I did have an e.l.f. one in a stick, and I had the Jeffree Star ones, and those are a bit more grainier, and they fall apart a bit more. This one has an oil base, so it spreads a lot more evenly, and the scrub doesn't feel as harsh. I feel like it is moisturizing my lips as it's scrubbing, so that's why I like to put the moisturizer on first, kind of get that intensive moisture down in my lips, and then I go in with the kind of moisturize and scrub, kind of get that going, make sure my lips are nice and right. And then with this, I do take just a little something, wipe it off, because it does have the grainy bits in it. I definitely don't want that to stay on my lips. I mean, you can lick it off and it's fine. So now my lips feel very hydrated. They feel very, very smooth. And what I do after that is make sure all the grainy bits are in. I go back in with my Lippie Balm. I just squeeze a little bit out. And I just apply a small amount just to rehydrate my lips again. Kind of let it settle in there, intensify while I'm doing the rest of my face. So that is the lips, and now let's get into the rest of it. And next we're going to go to concealer. So guys, ride or die concealer came into my life this year. Prior to that, I have an entire drawer of concealers that I use. I've used the Colourpop concealer. I've used the e.l.f. concealer, which I really did love. I have the Becca concealer. I have a lot of various concealers, but my ride or freaking die, again, that came into my life this year is this Cosis concealer. This is what it looks like. And I don't know if you guys can see, but I have started to scrape the bottle. I mean, I literally am scraping for bits of this concealer. I just really, let me try to scrape this. I really just, ooh, Lord, there's so much light coming through there because I got nothing. I really just like the consistency of this concealer. I like the wand, how it's flat on both sides. It just goes on so smooth. And I do put my concealer on before I put my foundation on. I know I always say, like, that's kind of an old school method, but that is what I prefer. I don't tend to use my concealers to brighten my look. So I like to go on to, I guess, almost using them like a corrector. I like to use them prior to my foundation going on versus doing it after. So this is kind of, I just go over any little bits and bops that I think I may need to cover, and that's it. And so I like to get my concealer in a color that's closer than not to my skin. This is color number 7, and this is the color that I also wear in the Cosis Tinted Oil. The 7.5 is a little too dark, and the one down from this is a little too light. So this is the Brightening Concealer, and like I said, I really like this, and I am scraping at the bottom of this. So this is ride or die, holy grail. Love this freaking concealer. It doesn't crease on me, it doesn't cake on me, it's just so beautiful. But since I am kind of scraping at that, I do tend to use this Ultimate Coverage Longwear Concealer from Becca in the color Golden. Now, I have had this before, but this one Becca sent to me, so they gifted this one to me, so I'm appreciative of that, especially because my ride or die is wearing out. So if you see the colors, the Becca is kind of just a half step darker, maybe like half a shade deeper. But this is going to be nice because while that one is very thin in consistency and brightens, this Becca one is a little bit more coverage, still has a nice flat wand. Um, and as you can see, it has a little bit more of a peachy tone versus a yellow tone. So it acts as a nice kind of corrector also. And like I said, it's a little bit more thick. So I don't use a ton of it when I go in. Just use a small amount. I do try to get fairly close to my under eye with that. So I really do like this concealer. I think that it is fantastic. This is nice if you want something a little more heavy, but you don't want to go in with a ton of it. And I think that it pairs nicely with this Cosis. The Cosis on its own is beautiful. Becca on its own is beautiful. Together, they're like chef's kiss. They're absolutely gorgeous. So let's move on to the next step, and that is tools. So, sponges. This is not dirty, this is just stained, but this is my mini beauty blender and it is dry. So sometimes I use my sponges wet, sometimes I use them dry. Particularly for concealer, I like to use it dry because I find when I use it wet, it can lift the concealer and then I'm having to go in to put more concealer on top of the concealer because it's lifting it. So I just take it dry and kind of just go in, and this is really to just kind of maintain a bit of coverage with my concealer. So go ahead, we will blend this out and then we will come back and we will get to our next step. Okay guys, so as you can see, we have the concealer completely blended out. It does look clearly different than my skin tone, but it blended out very nicely. I think it has good coverage. To me, concealer, it's not a magic stick. It's not a fix-all. It's just meant to kind of cover the best that it can, but it's not meant to act like it's not there. Like, I do still have some imperfections that are there, but this is just there to kind of conceal it, but not necessarily make it blur away. It's just not the way things work, and I don't want to keep applying more because that makes things get gunky, and then the foundation is going to lay weird on top of it. So our next step is foundation. I really do like the Colourpop Hyaluronic Acid foundation that they recently came out with, and this is in the color medium dark 145W. So I do enjoy this one. I also have recently started using the 147N. If you ever watch my video, I will link it down below on choosing the colors for these. These were difficult to choose colors for. It was very hard with undertones, so I did have a difficult time, but I found that 147N and 145W, between winter and summer and kind of the in-between, I can use one or the other or the two mixed together, and that kind of gives me a nice shade. However, because it is the winter time, I like to use the Colourpop Hyaluronic Acid Tinted Moisturizer, and I have had about 3 of these. This is in dark 17N. I absolutely love this stuff. It's a bit lighter, clearly, than the Hyaluronic Acid Foundation, but I think this is quick, no fuss, no muss. Put it on because it is a tinted moisturizer, and I do think because it's a tinted moisturizer, you don't have to be a spot on with the color, so it does give a little leeway to have maybe like a shade up, a shade below, and still make it work with various powders and things. Where with the foundation, I feel like it has to be a little bit more spot on. So I just love the way this feels. I love the coverage that this gives. Although I can do full coverage and medium coverage, I don't have to have those things. I can be a light coverage girl, and I'm totally fine with that. So let's go ahead and apply this. Now this has a little cap, and I love how they put a little pump on this tube. So I think that that was fantastic. So that way you didn't have to squeeze it out. You could just pump it out. And I like to take it and apply it over my face with my fingers like this. I like to go in kind of light-handed, even though it looks like I'm putting on a lot of kind of dots. It is light-handed that I'm doing it with. You don't need a ton, but just enough. And I like to go in and kind of rub out with my hands, which I know sometimes is like, ooh, no, not hands. But with the tinted moisturizer, what I found was when I go in just with a sponge, one, the sponge eats up a lot of the product, and 2, I tend to overput the product, and that's not what I'm looking to do. I'm not looking to overput product because the sponge is A, eating it up, or B, because I can't tell how much I'm putting on because it spreads so much more smoothly than a foundation does. So I like to just take my fingers, kind of get it nice and evenly. Do it just like you would a moisturizer. You know, I like to be able to pat it around my eyes more and kind of just really spread into places like closer to my hairline. Make sure it's all kind of getting in there. And I just absolutely love the way that it looks. I think that it looks nice, dewy, pretty, and it definitely feels very, very moisturizing. So this is my preferred way of doing it. Like I can get out my nostrils. But I like the coverage and I like being able to do it that way. Now what I do is I do take my sponge. Now this is the Colourpop sponge, which I have been using and enjoying. Now sponges, whether it's the Colourpop sponge or it's the Beauty Blender or Real Techniques, I don't have a preference necessarily with sponges. I like the Beauty Blender for some things, it's very aerated. Now this sponge I like because it has the flat side. I like it's a little more stiff. Now this is dry, but it's a little more stiff than other sponges, in particular the Beauty Blender. So I don't have a particular sponge, but I do like the Colourpop sponge and I do like the Beauty Blender. So I like using this. And then in particular with the Tinted Moisturizer, I like to go back in and just kind of give it some pats just to make sure that it is into my skin, pushing it in, taking off any excess that we might have, and kind of just giving it some uniformity, especially around the eye, making sure things look good, look settled, look right, and that there's not any excess product on my face, because I do not like that, especially because I tend to have combo skin. We don't need to add any extra oiliness or things like that to the skin. No ma'am, Sam. That does not need to happen. So this is where I do kind of come in and use the sponge. So there we are with that. So now let's get into our next step. All right, guys, next step in the process is going to be powder. So we have the foundation on. My Ride or Frickin' Die powder is from Makeup Forever. And it is this powder right here. It is the Matte Velvet Skin Powder. Now, in the winter, I wear 425. In the summer, I wear 445. And I love this freaking powder. This is what mine looks like now. I really need to get another one, but I already have two. So, just love it. This has a sponge with it, and it has a white side and it has a black side. One side will put more full coverage, one side will put lighter coverage. I took the sponge out. I like to use a brush because when you do use a sponge, you're going to get an air perfection looking face. However, for me, that's too much coverage, so I like the coverage that I get with the kind of brush. I like the fact that it gives me kind of a perfected look, but it's not necessarily a heavy look, because I feel like if you do use the sponge with this, you can get heavy very quick regardless of which side of the sponge I use. So this is something that I have learned over time of having this powder, is that I like it better with the brush. And I've had this powder maybe a year and a half. Can't quite recall if it's been longer than that, or when it released, but I definitely have had it for at least a year. So I think 2019 is when I had this. Whenever it released, I got it fairly soon after that. I think it might have been like a month or two after it had come to market. And so this is what I just like to do with it. And I think that it just helps the look. Not necessarily, I mean, it is a matte velvet skin powder, but I don't think that it makes it look too matte, especially because of all the preparation I did with the primer, with the moisturizer, things like that, to kind of have that hyaluronic acid in my skin where it was able to blur and make things look nice, but it didn't make my skin look dry. So let's move on to the next step. Guys, the next step and the next Ride or Die product for me is bronzer. And the bronzer that I love, I got into this year, and this is from Cosis. This is the Cosis bronzer in medium golden bronze. So I have used this quite a bit. This used to be a full dome shape, and as you can see, it's very thin. This is a lot of product. This is 6 grams or 0.21 ounces of bronzer. So this is a lot of product. You don't need a ton. I use the same brush that I use for my powder. I just put it in. And then I like to bronze where the sun naturally hits me when I go outside. So I like to do the tops of my cheeks, almost where you would put highlighter, because that is where the sun kisses me. I tend to get a little bit red. And then I like to put bronzer right here around on my forehead, again, where the sun would kiss me. And I'm not too precise with it. I'm kind of haphazard because I feel like that's what happens with the sun. So I like to use my makeup to kind of enhance things, but also to truly mimic things. And that is what I like. I take it slightly in the inner part because the sun would hit me there again, and I like the way that that looks. It's not too much, but I do like kind of the bronzy color it gives. Now it is kind of a red toned, but for me and my skin, I think that it is nice because again, that's what it looks like when the sun hits my particular skin, is it does get slightly red, and I get red very quickly. So that is my ride or die bronzer. So let's get into the next step. Okay guys, using the same brush that I used for my powder and my bronzer after putting in my color switch, we're going to get into my ride or die powder, because sometimes I use cream, but this is my ride or die powder because that's what I use most frequently, blush. Now this blush happens to be the Fresh and Peachy pressed powder from Colourpop, and this was from their Peach collection. But I love all of their blushes. I have various ones in deeper colors, lighter colors, orangier colors, brown colors. I just love this formula. I think that it is a, as you can see, I'm starting to get like a little divot in this. I love the fact that it is pigmented, and I like the fact that it is smooth. It's not chunky. Even the ones that have more of a sheen to them, they're not chunky. They're just absolutely beautiful, and that's what I love about it. I think that it is a very affordable powder blush, and I think that you're getting a lot of bang for your buck as far as pigmentation. I do have their cream blushes. I do like those also, but I tend to use powder more than I do cream as a blush form, and so their formula is my ride or die, my favorite blushes to use. So again, just taking that same brush, I like to do something I call the Santa Claus, where I come to the front part of my cheek and I really make sure we have a lot of blush, because that again is what happens to my cheeks. When I get flush, it is the balls of my cheeks. I happen to have a very bally cheek face. That is where I get the most flushness. Now I don't want to do my blush like this because of course when you lower your face that drops, but I do want to make sure that the front part of my face has enough pigmentation from the blush to ensure a nice flushed feeling. Then I just do a little on the chin, a little on the nose, just to kind of give it an overall flushness, because that's what it would have. I go in with my color switch, I wipe it off, and then I just lightly go back over it because I'm not looking to get rid of any of the blush, because I am not afraid of blush. I'm a blush queen, but I do want to just make sure that it is even and it is put into my skin. So there you go. So now let's get into the next step. Okay guys, next step, we're going to go in with a little bit of contour, but we're going to use a bronzer. So what we're going to use is the Caramel Cutie bronzer from Fenty Beauty. Such beautiful packaging. And I do have backups of this, of course. And we're actually going to use this as a contour. So I love the color of this. I think it has a nice tone to it, but I don't use it as a bronzer because I use the Cosis because I want a little bit more warmth, a little bit of sheen, a little bit of redness, and this is more of a neutral color. So I put it on this fantastic brush from Firma. I don't even know where I got this from, but I just love it. And I take a heavy amount, and then I kind of just go in where I want the shadow to be created. And typically it's right about here. Put some right there. And then I take some more. I go down to the bottom of my chin because, girl, we need to get this snatched. We need to go ahead and get this right. So we're going to kind of create some nice shadowing there. Create some nice shadowing right there at the kind of peak of my chin. I like to go in at just the top part of my nose. Just put a little there just to kind of make it be more symmetrical. Go back on the other side of my face. Kind of put some here also. And then kind of almost where we put the bronzer too. And then go back in along my hairline and kind of carve that out. So I will blend that out and we will come back and we will do our next step. Alright guys, so we have the contour aka bronzer completely blended out. I think it gives a nice no fuss, no muss look to the face. It looks very bronzed, very glowy, but I think that doesn't look too overdone, and that is what I like. So what we're going to get into next is my Ride or Die highlighter. So my Ride or Die highlighter is actually from MAC, which is surprising because I am not a MAC gal. And this is MAC and Patrick Star, and this was the Hot and Heavy highlighter. I have about 4 backups of these. I just love this freaking highlighter. As you can see, I have a dip in highlighter. Like, come on now. Are you kidding me? That's how much I use it. I just use, most of the brushes I've been using are these Wayne Goss brushes. So I like this Wayne Goss. This is the number, I think this is the, possibly the 00 brush. It's a flat brush. I like to take this, and I think that this is a beautiful highlighter because it provides a sheen and it provides kind of sparkle like this, but it doesn't leave flecks of glitter on my face like some other highlighters do. So other highlighters are beautiful, especially in pictures, but they're a little too much and they actually leave glitter on my face. In particular, sometimes the Becca highlighters will do that to me. So I really like this. Like if you see, just looks so beautiful. So I like to just kind of liberally put that on both sides because I think that this is more of a subtle highlighter, but it still gives you a shine. So it's a little more than a glow from within, but it's not as much as kind of like a champagne pop. But I like that. And I sometimes will highlight my nose and my chin, but especially when I'm doing like all of my ride or dies, I'm not trying anything new out. I tend not to because I'm already using a lot of hyaluronic acid products, and using the highlighter in those areas to me sometimes will give me too much of a glow, especially once the oils start to kick in. So I just do that. I do come down far with my highlighter. Again, that's just the shape of my face, and as my kind of rosy cheeks go up, I like to have that kind of sun-kissed highlight right there also. So let's go ahead and get into our next step. Okay guys, so the next step in my process, we have everything done with the face. Now we're going to go in with setting spray. So I do this twice. I put my setting spray on after I get my base done, and I will put it on again once I get my eyeshadow done. That's because I want my base to kind of start to settle itself, not be powdery, and kind of really start to combine with everything that is on my face, my natural oils, things like that. My ride or die spray for that used to be Urban Decay, and then it used to be Milk Makeup, which had a horrible nozzle and they stopped selling it completely. I still have one left over, but that was a matte spray. Now it is the Colourpop Hyaluronic Acid Pretty Fresh Setting Mist. I love this. This came into my life this year with the rest of their hyaluronic acid collection, and I think it just pairs nicely with their products and others, and I like the fact that it kind of mimics my natural oils without being oily quicker. So sometimes your makeup looks great when you put it on, but it really looks its best like 3 hours in, when just a little bit of the oils are starting to break through and it's really starting to settle in with your skin. I feel like this setting mist really helps with that, helps to speed up that process without it looking oily on my face. So let me just show you the mister. Like I said, this is my second one. It has a nice mist to it. It is fierce, yet it is light. And this does have a scent of almost like an aloe smell, like aloe and maybe baby powder. So I just, actually it's more coconutty. I think this is actually coconut, but a very light scent of coconut. So you put that on my skin, I let that settle in, and then while that is settling in, I go ahead and I prep my eyes with my eye primer, so that way we'll be ready, set, Fred to go when it is time. But I gotta find it. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. I just had it. That way it is ready, set, Fred to go when we're ready to put on our eyeshadow. So the eye primer I use is, if you know me, you know me, it's the NYX Proof It Primer. This is amazing. I actually just used up one yesterday. Oh, and I have probably 4 backups of this. This is so fantastic. So I just put it on like this, and this is a nice primer because although it looks like it has a pinkish tint, it actually is going to blend out into nothing. This just makes your eyeshadow be nice and waterproof. So I blend this in before I do my eyebrows, because I want to make sure I can get it all over the eyelid without disturbing my eyebrows. And I just kind of use my ring finger to blend, blend, blend. And I just love it. Now, I don't have any veins or anything that I want to cover up, so this is fine for me. But if you want something with a tint, then you'll probably need to use something else. But I really enjoy this. And you kind of know when it's settling, when all of a sudden it starts to feel a little more tuggy as you're going through it. And that's kind of where I leave it alone at, let it set, let my primer, I mean not my primer, but my setting mist kind of finish setting in with my face. I just take a moment or two, let it go ahead and dry down, and then I will get into my eyeshadows. Okay, guys, so I said that we get into our eyeshadow next, but really I get into my eyebrows. I said eyeshadow because typically I don't do my eyebrows on camera because they take a long time, and I won't do them here either, but what I will do is show you the products that I use. So I use the Benefit Precisely My Brow in the number 5 and sometimes the number 6. This is ride or die without a freaking question. This is amazing, amazing, amazing. I love Benefit for all things eyebrows, but this Precisely My Brow is chef's kiss. Love it. After I get done with that, I also will go in and use the Give Me Brow in number 5 or 6. I kind of go in between depending upon the depth of my brow. These are just kind of colored fibers to make the brows look slightly more thicker. Really like it as kind of a nice finisher to the brows to try to even them out, because I do have some sparsity not just in brows but in color, as far as this is a little thicker here, so it looks like it's a little more fuller with color than right here, so kind of helps to even that out. And then what I like to do is, which is new to me this year, so these have been ride or dies for a while, except for when they took the Gimme Brow off the market because some fibers were falling into people's eyes, but they have since fixed that and it is back to being magnificent. But it is the Milk Makeup Kush Clear Gel Brow. Now, Benefit does have a gel brow that I use. Anastasia has a clear gel brow that I use, but I really like this one the best. In particular, the formula and how tiny the wand is. The wand is just very small and it really allows me to have more control over my brows and not get so much of the clear gel on my skin. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do my brows off camera, and then we will come back and then we will get into our next step, which is going to be eyeshadow. Alright guys, we are now at the part where we are going to do our eyes. As you see, the brows are done. I love it. As Manny would say, we are back and the brows are filled. So, let's get into this eyeshadow game, shall we? My 3 ride or die palettes, and yes, I do have 3, are the Natasha Denona Mini Zendo palette. If you know, you know. Love this color story. Can't get enough of it. Beautiful. Can't do without it. The Melt Cosmetics Gemini palette. Again, love this color story. Can't get enough of it. Can't live without it. And the Colourpop Sweet Talk palette. Color story again, absolutely gorgeous, totally beautiful. Freaking love this palette. So I am going to combine all 3 because they're all my ride or dies and I can't choose one to do a look with. So this may be a bit interesting because I have never necessarily tried to use all 3 palettes in a look, but we're here and we're doing it. So I think first we're going to start with the Gemini palette. And we are going to utilize, let's use the color Mochi. Mochi is this kind of lighter green right here. We're going to just kind of come in like this. Our primer is nice and dried, so I love it. And I really do like the NYX Proof It because it really does make my eyeshadow waterproof. In the rain or even when I'm washing off my makeup, my eyeshadow will still be there, not faded, not nothing. And I usually have to use a makeup eraser in order to get it off because it is so well staying put on my eyes, which I really enjoy. So that's a color Mochi. Really like this color a lot. Really love this palette. This palette is a quintessential fall palette. However, it doesn't have to be fall for you to use this palette. I feel like if you like some grungy tones, or even if you don't, you can just use the warm brown side, or you can just use the green side, or you can do like we're doing today, and we're kind of mixing it with some other palettes, and having a bit of fun. So we're going to take a little bit more of that Mochi and just kind of add a slight bit more because I just wanted a slight bit more of that green to come through. And we are taking it up what seems like fairly high, but I do that because I happen to have been blessed with the good old hooded eyelid. So if I do not take my eyeshadow up beyond my crease, what will happen is I will have a beautiful crease and you will not be able to see a single thing on it. I will have blended beautifully. It will be like, oh, pierre de resistance. And you won't be able to tell a single thing because when my eye closes, when I look up, it's going to go away. Now, when I look up, you can still see it. So that becomes very, important. I used to close my eyes, like do it when I blend a little bit, but I used to close my eyes to do my eyeshadow fully, and I learned from Wayne Goss many years ago that you don't want to do that because then you're not actually going to be applying it to the correct places when you open your eyes. So now let's go ahead and let's dip and do into another palette. And what I want to go into is, I want to go into the Sweet Talk palette. And we're going to use the same brush that we just used. And with the Sweet Talk palette, I want to use this color right here called Feel Free. It's just a deep kind of mauvey toned brown. So this will be interesting because we have a green, and I'm going to go in with this deep toned mauvey toned brown. And I'm doing it very lightly, and I'm going to go lightly just slightly below where we place the green. So now I kind of want to go into my natural crease just to kind of add a bit of depth to this area of my eyelid, but not doing too much. I just want it to be a slight bit of depth. So this is nice because it's not fully brown. It does have that kind of mauvey undertone to it, which I think is pairing nicely with this green, almost the way a purple and green would pair together. So I do like the kind of gradient this is giving, that kind of bit of depth that it's giving to my natural crease, and how it's pairing with the green itself. So I really, really like that. I have to make the decision if I want to go in with any more of this or if I want to leave it where it's at. I think we're going to go with a tiny bit more. I want to start with the inner part first since we put the most in the outer part before. I just want to add just a sliver more to my eye, and I think that looks so nice. Like, I really like this together. Very nice. So this is kind of like, I'm not somebody who typically uses varying palettes together, but this is what can happen when you do. You kind of get these very pretty, almost unexpected looks. But I mean, they're all three of my ride or die palettes. So, and the only new one we have added to the collection is the Natasha Denona, because I believe that one came out this year. I believe Sweet Talk came out last year, and then the Melt Cosmetics, I believe, came out 2 years ago. So now, of course, we're going to go in with Mini Zendo and kind of see what we can do. We're going to change our brushes. I think we're going to do the outer V. I'm going to take a smaller brush, and I think for that, we're going to use one of my favorite outer V colors from Natasha Denona, and this is, I think it's Undercovered, I believe is the color that this is, and this is this kind of deep plummy black. And this is actually a shimmer, so this does have shimmer in it, or a metallic, I guess you would say. But Natasha Denona's formula is perfect to put these in the crease or in the outer corner. You don't really have to worry about using kind of a matte in that. So I am looking, and my battery is going out. So what I'm going to do is stop right here, switch the battery up, and then come back and do this with you guys. So 2 shakes, and we'll be right on back. Okay, guys, we've changed the battery, and we are back. So let's continue to go into this color. I believe it's called Uncovered. And I just love the way this looks in the crease, in the outer corner up into the crease. Even though it is a shimmer metallic, it just blends so beautifully. And it really gives more depth to the eye instead of being a matte black or brown. It gives it a little bit of dimension and depth. And I really like that. Natasha Denona shadows tend to just blend themselves, and they're just so pretty. So if you have been someone who maybe has been hesitant to put a shimmer or metallic into your crease or into the outer corner, try a Natasha Denona palette and try her formula in the corner or in the crease. I think it may change your mind about what you thought could or couldn't be done, what should or maybe shouldn't be done when you utilize her formula. So literally that quick we have that done. Now what I'm going to do is go back in with the brush that we had previously. I just want to kind of buff out those edges into my other shadows just to kind of make sure that we're nicely blending fully now that we have the color down. Just make sure the edges aren't harsh. They're blended nicely. I just absolutely, absolutely love these shadows. So next, what we're going to do is, because we're here, let's just go ahead and do our under eye. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to drag some of that same color that we just used in the outer corner down into the lower lash line area. Now, when I do my lower lash line, I can't look at it, otherwise I will poke myself in the eye. So I want to do the outer to inner third, just to provide some depth to the eye area. And then we will also do another color to kind of just blend everything out. There we go. So this is just I always start the first color off kind of close and kind of more of a quick blend. There's no fallout from this, even though it's right here, so you guys will be good in that area. Fantastic. Now, let's get to the lid, shall we? Or you know what? Let's do the brow first. So let's do the brow highlight. So we're going to use this color right here from Natasha Denona, and it's just kind of a lighter pinky color. And we are going to just go in like this, kind of give that some lift, give that some color. We don't want it to be too stark white or too stark cream, but I also don't particularly care to use shimmers, because I feel like that's too much for my under eye. So we'll place it, and then we will go back and continue to blend and make sure everything is where we want it to be. Everything is looking how we want it to look. Let's just go in, just using this pencil brush, and you just blend in until you feel like it's right and it looks good. And if you need to go in and use more color, you always can. Of course, it's there for you. You can do that. And if not, you don't have to. Perfect. Okay. And sometimes I even like just use my finger just to kind of additionally do that. So really like it. Perfect. So now let's go in with a shimmer. So we have many to choose from, but I think what we're going to do is I think we're going to use this Goals color from the Milk Cosmetic, and this is a beautiful metallic green. I mean, look at that. Gorge. So I think we're going to start here. We're just going to put it, oh my gosh, put it here. And I do go up into my crease with these, of course, because I have hooded eyelids. If I don't, it will naturally migrate there, and then it will look silly versus looking purposely placed. We want to put a little over the outer V color that we have. We want to bring it in a little past the inner third. I mean, look at how beautiful that color is. Oh, gorgeous, is it not? And I like to apply these with my fingers. I did not always. I used to be very much so against it and thought you shouldn't have to apply them with your fingers. However, the more that I do makeup, the more I realize that I like the look and the application I get with applying shimmers with my fingers rather than a brush, regardless if you can use a brush. I just like how my oils mix with them, and it kind of gives you a more metallic look without having to add any primer water or regular water or finishing spray or anything to it. It just looks very nice and kind of at opacity on its own without having to add any extra liquid to it. So I'm going to put my finger in my color switch. It came off nice and clean. So I love how this looks. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go back into the Sweet Talk palette. And we're really going to take a risk here. And we're going to take this color right here. And this is Side to Side. This is a topper color. This is a gorgeous topper color. I've never used it over a green. This is a Super Shock Shadow. It's kind of like a peachy pinky topper. We're going to just press it over this green shadow just to give it a little bit more luxe, I feel like. Just to see how it looks. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Do you guys see the difference? This is with the topper, that's without the topper. They're both beautiful, but this definitely has a little extra pizzazz to it. And I am all about pizzazz. So let's go ahead and, oh my gosh, this looks so freaking pretty. Oh my gosh, guys, look at that. Okay, So now I want to do it a little bit different for the inner third. For the inner third, I think I'm going to go back into the Natasha Denona palette. I want to use this metallic here. This looks like it's green. It's not. This is like a silver pewtery type green. Really more silver. It's very nice. And I just want to put it in the inner because I think it will go nicely with our topper and our green shade. Oh yeah. Look at that. That's beautiful. Holy crap. These combined look very nice. I might have to start combining palettes more often. Oh my gosh. Wow, guys. Okay. So I want to get into that inner corner, so I'm going to use my pencil brush just to kind of be able to get in where my finger couldn't go up. This is so freaking pretty. And these are why these are my favorite ride or die palettes. Because they're beautiful on their own. Look how beautifully they're pairing together with little to no effort, little to no thought process. They are just freaking beautiful. Can you, I can't even stand it. Can you stand it? I can't stand it. So we're going to use this Wayne Goss number 6 brush, and now we're going to kind of blend here at the top. So then after I get everything done, I just go in at the top and I just blend the edges of all the colors together just to make sure we don't have anything harsh and to really just blend out those shimmers and make it look more purposeful where they're put at in my crease. So again, when they would do that on their own, they wouldn't look like it was just haphazard. It looks like it was purposely meant to be there because we did do that on purpose, and it looks to me more put together and nice than just allowing them to migrate and being like, oh, I have shimmers up on my eyebrows. Like if you just put it up here to begin with, it works out to me better. So oh my gosh, I freaking love this look. Okay, so we're going to take that same brush and we're going to just buff out some of the lower lash line. I think with the lower lash line we are going to go in with I think we're going to go in here with Fire OG from the Melt palette, and it's just a deeper green. I think we're just going to take that and then we're going to just buff out the whole lower lash line. Give it a good buffing. And like I said, I can't look, so it's hard because I can't see what I'm doing until I kind of get done and see if I need to add more or less, which is why I go in very little at a time, because I definitely don't want to look down and be like, oh Lord, you did just too much, girl. You did too freaking much. Oh, very nice. Okay, just a little bit more. I think right here. Oh my gosh, this looks so freaking good. I love these palettes together. And I'm just cleaning off that same brush. I'm just going to go in and kind of be able to buff out with any additional product. Just try to give it a nice blend underneath my eye. Oh my gosh. And give it depth, but not give it kind of like you got hit in the face. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now we're going to go back in with the pencil brush. And what we're going to do is do an inner corner highlight. So for my inner corner highlight, I think we are just going to try to keep it a little bit simplistic. We're going to go in with the color Gemini from the Melt Cosmetics palette. And this is the golden brown bronzy color. And we're just going to do just a smidgens right here. Now usually I go fully up my whole eye, but I usually use a little bit more. But today I'm going to do what I call kind of a half eye booger, where it's like I didn't use a ton and I just put it almost purposely just right there in that corner instead of really taking it up. That's because I don't want to cover up that nice green and that nice silver, but I do want to give just a small glimpse into the inner corner. So that is that. So guys, eyeshadow is finished. We're going to move on to our next step. Okay guys, so our next step is going to be mascara. Number one mascara, hands down, without a doubt, the Cosis Big Clean Mascara. This is something new to my collection this year. Absolutely freaking love, love, love this mascara. This mascara is so freaking beautiful. I just love what it does for my lashes. And I got this when it first launched, and I do have another one. And this one is starting to get, you know, aged, slightly drier. But even with the age, it is just a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous mascara formula. Oh, it doesn't leave my eyelashes crunchy. I can layer it. You know, I'm not afraid of a little Tammy Faye, but this doesn't give you full Tammy Faye right out the gate. If you want to be Tammy Faye, you can, but if you don't have to. So just like look at that. It just looks, it's so freaking beautiful. I just really, really love this mascara. I fully recommend this mascara to anybody who's looking for clean beauty and anybody who's just looking for a really good mascara product that is not going to make your eyelashes get crispy and crunchy, and they're going to keep them nice and give them length and give them volume and give them separation. And maybe you're looking to try a new brand, because I don't see a lot of people trying a ton of things from Cosis. I know they don't have as many products as some other lines, but I think that they are definitely a brand worth trying if you have not tried them already. I think they're fantastic. And that is the lashes on the top, kids. So the next step we're going to do is the lashes on the bottom, and that is from Clinique, and this is literally Clinique's bottom lash mascara, and it's called Bottom Lash Mascara. So I love bottom lash mascara. I like to just kind of do this, do a little windshield wiper, and then I like to go down and do it. So you have to be very kind of gentle with the bottom lash, because I feel like it's very easy to have a misstep. And if you do, then that's okay. If it gets on your skin, just wait for it to dry, and then you can take a little brush, or you can take a Q-tip, and you can gently get it off, and it will wipe right away without any liquid or anything. So that is the bottom lash mascara. So what seemingly I do backwards is now we're going to get to liner. So I can do my liner after I do mascara, so I can see the shape that I want to create. So let's get to our next step. Okay, guys, so my ride or die top liner is from Colourpop. This is numero uno. Now, regardless of the color, I love the Colourpop formulation for the liner. It stays, and the reason why I started using their liner a couple years ago was because I was having such bad transfer, putting liner on my top part of my eye, and by midday at work, it was on the bottom. So I would purposely have to wear my glasses to cover that up, because if I wiped it away, it was going to wipe my makeup away on the bottom, and then I have, no foundation, no concealer. And then I tried this, and you can hear it shake. It just works beautifully. I feel like they're affordable. It works beautifully. It goes on beautifully. And I really like it. So, that quick. That's done. I really, really like this formula. Really, really like this tip. Sorry, kids. Can't be talking. And I think that it is beautiful each and every freaking time. So love it, love it, love it. Now for my bottom, I also love Colourpop. So their liners are my favorite. So their gel liners, I love. I love them in every color. I have another bin filled with them. I think I have almost every one that they have come out with. So with this, I think what we want to do is I think I want to jazz it up, and I wanted to use Cactus. And I want to put this kind of greeny color in the bottom just to give it some pizzazz. Now we could leave it this way, but who wants to leave it plain, right? Why not go in and go into the waterline with a colored liner? Now most people will do this before the mascara. I like to do it after, just again so I can see where I want to put it, how much I want to put it, and what it's going to look like with the mascara on. So very, very nice. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take just this brown gel liner called Call Me, and we're going to put this in the inner part. So we're going to use a little brown to kind of overlap the green so it can work harmoniously like the rest of our look. Look how beautiful that looks. So we have our eyes done, we have our face done. It's time to move back to lips. So let's go ahead and let's move back to our last step. Okay, so my ride or die product again is from Colourpop. Now this is their lip oils. So I like their glosses, although sometimes they can be a little bit too sticky and thick. If you get the chunky fat ones that look like this. If you get the thin ones, I love that formula. I absolutely hate the wand. It's very Kylie Cosmetic when she first released, kind of that flat, like paintbrush type wand. Don't like it. But these lip oils, these are a perfect combination of perfect wand, perfect formulation, perfect gloss, but it's actually an oil. But it's not too oily on the lips. It gives you just enough color, but it gives you such a nice hydrating formulation. You don't have to be too precise about it. Just kind of no fuss, no muss. Go in, put it on, and you can keep reapplying throughout the day. Now this is from the Cactus collection, Wild collection. This is called Pla Vista, and I just love it. It's beautiful. Love, love, love. So what we're going to do is I am going to take my bonnet off. I'm going to get my hair ready, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about the whole of our products. I'm going to spray our face one more time before we go. So let's give it a shake. We're going to, yes, even with our mascara, this is not going to make it run. This is not going to make it come off. We just settled everything in. So let's go take off the bonnet, do our hair, come back and chat. Alright guys, I have taken my bonnet off. I have zhuzhed the hair. And I just want to let everybody know that this is third day curls right here. So I am very excited about how they are looking. And I'm excited about this look. I mean, come on now. Are we not excited about this look? Look at these beautiful eyes. Look at this beautiful base. Like, it is gorgeous. It looks flawless. It looks very put together. But there wasn't a lot of fuss and muss with everything. So guys, those are my ride or die products for the 2020. Give it to me one time. So, do you guys have any of these products in your ride or die collection? Do you want any of these products in your ride or die collection? How did you feel about my products for the ride or die collection? And how did you feel about the look we were able to kind of obtain from those products? Do you guys have any things that you think I should try in 2021? And maybe those will become ride or die products. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give me 2 very enthusiastic thumbs up. If you like to talk about this stuff, if you want to talk about this stuff, if you want to tell me about your ride or die products, then please, by all means, let me know in the comment section down below, because I really do want to chat and have a conversation about it, because I am very, very excited to see what your ride or die products may or may not be, see if they vary from mine, and see if there's anything that I can maybe add to my list for 2021 to give a try and see if they become my ride or die products too. So thank you so much guys for spending some time with me. I miss you, I love you, and I will see you in my next video. I love you guys. Bye.